Welcome to everybody to this second session of the LAP Technology Tuesday. And today the topic is related to a very relevant component of the industrial network Ethernet base, that are the switches. And I know that you are registered from our website. Just a very quick update. On our website, you can find the complete list of the Technology Tuesday. That is an important initiative that we start last week, related to all the relevant topics for industrial connectivity. And especially for industrial communication, you can also find other sessions in the future weeks related to Profinet, robot cabling, and how to develop the industrial network in your factories. And also other topics related to cabling, so UL and other products that are part of our portfolio. I'm Marco Artoli, and I'm a product manager and industrial communication expert for LAP in Italy. And for me today, it's a pleasure to be the moderator of this session with our relator and my colleague, Jürgen Greger, that is online with me. And he will be the presenter of this session related to our portfolio of ETHERLINE ACCESS switches. Just some few notes related to this session. You can use the chat area to raise your question, also during the presentation of Jürgen, and we will manage this question at the end of the presentation during the Q&A session. The webinar is recorded, and during the Q&A we will use the question in an anonymous way. So that's all from my side. So now I pass the role of presenter to Jürgen, and enjoy the webinar.
Thank you, Marco, and good morning, good afternoon, and hello to everybody wherever on the globe you are. I'm happy to have you here to my ETHERLINE ACCESS Switches session. So my name is Jürgen Greger. As Marco mentioned, I'm product manager according to switches, for example, in Stuttgart. So let's start our session. We will take a quick tour over looking the market share of bus systems, or all the communication systems. We take a quick look in Profinet and topologies. Also quick look over the variety of network devices. In addition to it, we go through our portfolio, what we have available. Unmanaged, managed switches, we have very compact size switches and an AT firewall, and last but not least, we take a look at the recent portfolio expansion. So first of all, we have a development in the communication systems over the past years, and you can see in the market share Ethernet-based systems took over the market share since 2017, but finally 2018, and reached 2019 60% market share in industrial communication. Field buses are more and more decreasing, unfortunately, because I'm also the product manager for field bus systems for cables. But lucky me, I also have some Ethernet switches to sell, so I'm also on the rising side. The market share, the market growth, sorry, you see on the bottom diagram on the right. So the first year, 2019, we have here now, even in the growth in field buses, a minus of 5% prognosis. So yeah, the field buses are not heavily growing anymore. So industry acknowledged to go with Ethernet, and that's okay. That's absolutely okay. So let's take a look globally. Globally, we have a differentiation. One point in before here, I mentioned the #1 systems in these regions. It's not the only existing communication systems over there. You'll find all of them and even more as the mentioned. So, but just for a short overview, in North America, you have mainly DeviceNet and Ethernet IP. Why? The reason is the major PLC manufacturer, Allen Bradley, respectively Rockwell, who is very strong over there, and therefore we have the main communication systems, Ethernet IP, on the Ethernet side. In Europe, it's a different situation because of main PLC manufacturer, who is Siemens. We have here the major field bus systems, Profibus and Profinet. Same in China, the one country in Asia, which also Profinet and Profibus are the #1 systems. But as I mentioned, it's not the only you'll find, even in China not. And the #1 system for Japan is CC-Link, and CC-Link IE means Industrial Ethernet, CC-Link IE field. The reason also here, very simple, the major PLC manufacturer is Mitsubishi. They're also quite strong globally, but yeah, trying hard against the major competitors. Overall, don't forget, we also have lots of applications using Modbus. For Ethernet, it's Modbus TCP for sure. In every region, in every market, it's more or less #2 or #3. So it's not that unimportant as it could seem on the first look. So Modbus is there and it's important still. The next slide, let's focus a little bit on, from lab point of view, the major communication system. So how did Profinet came up? First of all, we have had Profibus in the first version. We have had 1.5 megabit of data transfer rate, and in the second version they improved it up to 12 megabit. But unfortunately, these days even the 12 megabit are not sufficient enough. So there was a need to develop a new communication system, Profinet in that case. So what did we take out of the standard Ethernet features, which is high data rate we wanted to keep. We wanted to keep also wireless ability and also the flexible topologies. So more flexible compared to field buses. Field buses just came up with a bus system, a daisy chain. But we wanted to be more flexible. Also, Profibus has had some nice features like high-speed I/O communication, safety features, and also the diagnostics features. And the combination of these standard Ethernet features and the Profibus, the field bus features, the outcome is Profinet. You see here a quick overview of some kind of topologies you could do with Ethernet ring. You could not do with field buses. You could Actually, this is the German, but you can imagine on the topologies. There's mesh network, there's star, there's tree, there's bus, there's line. You can do everything. So Ethernet is very, very flexible. From a point of view of as a cable manufacturer, I would recommend a fully meshed network on the right top side. We could sell a lot of cables, but I suppose not every customer would be happy with that. In Profinet, we have some conformance classes. So which means here, for example, we have conformance class A, usually uses the abbreviation of CC-A, conformance class B and C. Real Profinet is B. This is Profinet IO communication, real time, etc., using also the GSDML files. Conformance class C is made for isochronous real time, and brand new, which is just missing in this slide, brand new is conformance class D, designed for also real time, but TSN for next years. Out of our portfolio, we provide our range of the ETHERLINE ACCESS PNF 04 or with 8 or 16 ports. We'll see in detail the product later. So from a network overview in industry, where do we support you? We support you here in machine 1 and 2, inside the machine, connecting the network devices with managed switches or unmanaged switches, and also we go on top connecting the machines to each other or setting up here the brownfield communication with fiber or copper. So we go to the next one, which shows us some different network devices. As some of you might know, it's quite outdated now, the hub, the network hub. The hub had been layer 1 device, means it behaved like a cable. You also can imagine here on that diagram, it was directly connected each port with every other port. So it was quite fast forwarding the telegrams, but also it forwarded to every participant, which created a huge traffic on the network, and this was also the disadvantage of a hub. Hubs are seldomly used these days. In adapted form, it's used in PowerLink. Also quite outdated, we have bridges. It's a logical entity, but already layer 2. Bridges usually these days are logically implemented into switches and routers. So there's no more hardware device to use these days. Just use a recent switch and router, and you have a bridging function within the switch. The products we focus on is, for example, switches, which is a layer 2 product. Switches, the typical feature or behavior of a switch is they have a dedicated communication, and what is the communication address you see here? They communicate via MAC addresses. MAC addresses are unique addresses to each device. It's a unit, or it should be unique to each device. At ours it is, but not at every manufacturer it is the case, but usually it is a unique hardware address. And last but not least, we also have layer 3 products, which are, for example, layer 3 switches or routers. They communicate also with the MAC address, but not only, they use for communication over network borders. From one network to the other, they use IP addresses. So furthermore, to use all these devices in industry, we face some industrial requirements. For example, maintenance. In industry is looking for plug and place replacement, no active maintenance, and they also look for diagnostic features for quick and easy repair or replace of defect products. They also look for redundancy. Why? Quite easy. See the example here in this slide. Cable defects in the drag chain. You could use 2 Ethernet cables, and if one breaks, the other takes over the communication. You still have communication and you don't run into a failure immediately, and you can do the maintenance whenever you want, not when the machine stops by itself, because no more communication. Compared to office networks, we also have some enhanced environmental needs or requirements. From a temperature point of view, we are in a range of between -40 and 70 degrees. So it's much wider than in office. In office, it's usually not much colder than 0 degrees. Usually, depends where you have to sit in with your laptop. No. And also there's no 70 degrees, but in the production outside, it can be quite hot. And also we have requirements for high vibrations and accelerations, which you don't have at all in office. Similar to EMC. Here we need to meet some high requirements due to the industrial equipment. Installation, usually it's quite comfortable in the big cabinets. In cabinets with DIN rail installations, you usually have an IP20 environment and not very cold and usually not that hot, up to 70 degrees. So it's quite a comfort zone. But also there exists devices or a need for devices for installation in the field. Means they need to face IP54 and higher, usually 67. And from a point of lifetime, customers, I suppose they look at least for a lifetime of 10 years and more. Why? Usually machines, they run for 20 years and more in manufacturing, and as less defects they have, the better. So let's take a look at the first of our products. It's our unmanaged products coming with 5 and 8 ports. As you see in the picture, we have metal housing, a DIN rail mounting. We have both are 100 megabit data rate, and they have also redundant power inputs. And also what might be important is the feature to enable the broadcast storm protection. The unmanaged switches are suitable for temperatures from -10 to 60 degrees, which is quite okay. We provide also a IP30 protection rating, and those products are on stock in Stuttgart. So why to use unmanaged switches. Why are they so popular? So first of all, we see here, yeah, it's quite low cost compared to managed switches, but later we see also why they are so low cost, and also why it could be smart to use managed switches even if the higher cost. Unmanaged switches are plug and play. You can replace every unmanaged switch with another. Just need to care about port count and port type, and that's it, and maybe data rate. There is no active maintenance. You don't have to update any firmware. The simplicity is there. You don't have to study big and heavy manuals. Replacement already mentioned, and a very fast startup, so your network is online within 1 or 2 seconds. There's nothing to boot or something else. But there's also no other features. That's a disadvantage. For example, a use case for unmanaged switches is here production line with 6 conveying lanes. You see here one unmanaged switch collecting all the signals from 3 conveying lines, and the other one doing similar, and then transmitting to the big cabinet with bigger and for sure then managed switches the communication, and after to SCADA office. Advantage, disadvantage, yeah. One info: on the left side we have the unmanaged for sure, and on the right side managed. Unmanaged switches on the left, they are plug and play, as we have learned on the slides before, but they are completely invisible into a network. You cannot scan them, you cannot find them, there's nothing about them. They just behave as a cable. If you take a look in your topology software, it just shows you one link from port number 1, for example, from one managed switch to port number 2 to another managed switch. Even if you have in between a small unmanaged network, it won't show you anything, just a link looking like a cable. Managed switches on the other side, on the right side, they, yeah, as mentioned, they are active network members. They show you status information, like is a link up, is a link down. You can set up redundancies, if ring or whatever. Sorry, you can set security settings, even if we don't talk here about of a firewall or something. But security settings are not necessarily only provided with firewalls. They can be used also with a standard managed switch. So means port lock. Just lock unused ports. If you don't use them, lock them by demand in your software. Or you can filter IP addresses and many more. Managed switches can give you a diagnose. Also, as mentioned before, you can discover them in your topology software. You can set up VLANs and much more. So it's easy to say managed switches are expensive. The cost is higher, that's correct, but they provide you also tons of features additional compared to unmanaged switches. For sure, it depends on the application. Let's come to a quick look on availability, total cost of ownership, security, whatever. It's all about more or less all in one topic. I found a survey made from the Allianz Insurance, the German insurance company. I suppose everybody of you have heard of it. They act global. And they did a survey at companies and asked them what about their major concerns of their business. And the biggest, the highest concern, apologies, this one is the survey was published in German, but this means the unscheduled stop of production. That's their #1 concern. The second was natural disasters. Explosions #3, and the competition is here #5. So what we usually look if we run a production is it should run not only 10 years as before mentioned, it should run 24/7 for 30 years and producing me my goods I want to earn money with. And why is that the reason? We also see here, because every unscheduled stop is counting very, very easily into thousands here, or you see here millions, 100 millions 1 week. This is amazing. It's immediately counting in millions. To avoid some unscheduled stops, it's smart to use managed switches. Last but not least, with the redundancies. For example, here with these switches, we provide a reconfiguration time in a redundant ring of lower than 20 milliseconds. With at least 250 devices and more, somewhere we stopped with the tests because you cannot add 10,000 of devices in a ring. On the other hand, imagine a ring with 10,000 of managed switches. Even with 250 devices, it's a huge ring. So, but you could use it with a 20 millisecond, which is quite fast in the even on a competitive view. So, what to provide our managed switches? We have 2 types already, with 6 and with 8 ports. They provide 100 megabit data rate. The ring redundancy, for sure. You can also for sure configure them via web interface very easily, very comfortable, as you do it also at home on your router. They have on board Ethernet IP and Modbus TCP communication. You just have to decide and enable it. They have redundant power input. Even here we have redundancy, not only on the communication side. So on the power side, you can plug onto one switch 2 power supplies. We provide UL and also FCC. This is just missing here, but FCC is also coming with it. Temperature range from -40 to 75 degrees. So with the managed switches, we cover all the temperature range usually you meet in industry. IP30 as a standard, but as they are used in a cabinet, they do not have to withstand more than IP20, I suppose, but IP30 is okay. Also, these 2 products are stock-based. For example, here I took one from the Moxa website because it was a nice use case, a nice print. Imagine here a huge ring in a factory. This was supposed to be a PCB or SMD manufacturing, and they have on every machine 1 managed switch, and even attached to the ring the control room, the SCADA office. And if 1 link or 1 switch is facing a defect, your communication will run the other way around. You can monitor, you can stop or run all the other machines. You will get a diagnosis. You can send your maintenance to the dedicated machine, replace the switch or the link, and after you replace it, you have redundancy again, so security and availability from a communication point of view. Furthermore, we have also created some kits for you. Kits, why did we do that? So, to make it easy for you, you only have to order one article number and you get at least 2 articles in one box. In one box, that's already the second advantage. You see the picture of one box, that's the box you will receive. Even if 2 or 3 articles in this kit, it's always the same box. And the same, yeah, you receive all of those 3 articles at the same time. You don't have to wait for the connectors because they have a different lead time than the cable or the switch or whatever, and you have to put it on in your warehouse and block some space which you could use for other goods. No, you can immediately start with harnessing or whatever, or setting up your network. For first, we have created 6 of the kits. You can see here, for example, we have kit number 5 is containing a Cat5e flexible installation cable coming with RJ45 field mounting connectors and 1 8-port unmanaged switch. Just ordering 1 article number and you go for it. Our compact size switches, which are, you see down here, it's a unique compact design. You won't find more compact switches in the market today. I cannot promise for the next years, but as if you imagine from the pictures, the RJ45 port will not get smaller than it is because it's standardized. And you see by yourself now, there's not much space in between, so how to get even much smaller. Anyway, today we have the most compact design of switches in the market, and these compact switches are made in Germany. They come here from Germany, out of Bavaria. We provide these unmanaged switches with 5, as you can see on the pictures, of course, 8 and 16 ports, and the 16 port is providing you such a huge port density. This is really unreached in the market. But what else do we provide you with these switches? The 8 and the 16 ports, they bring some special feature with them. You see here, they are Profinet enabled. Yeah, everybody can say that, but what does it mean? This means they have implemented fixed LLDP and PTCP blocking. So if you use the 8 and the 16 port in a Profinet network, this would be more than helpful, because usually you cannot use an unmanaged switch in a Profinet network. Because if you do not block the LLDP, which is neighborhood detection, if you do not block that protocol, you cannot detect your neighborhood. That's why. And in real-time applications, you need also the PTCP, the precision time protocol blocking. So these 2 features do not come usually with unmanaged switches. So if you use these switches, or have to use unmanaged switches in Profinet, this is the products to go for you. The temperature range from -25 to up to 75 degrees Celsius. Also, these products are already stock-based, so please feel free if you have an application for these little tiny guys. Our Profinet switches, those are now real Profinet. They are managed, they are conformance class B, real Profinet. They are also Profinet certified, so don't worry, they are more than applicable to Profinet. You can use them by configuration via web interface, but for sure also with the TIA portal and the GSTML files which are provided on our landing page. One information according to the landing page. Our landing page is mentioned on every quick start guide attached to every product you receive, even to the standard shape products, not only to the compact size products. The landing page is mentioned on the first or the second page. So go there if you need additional information, even if you want to download the quick start guide again as a PDF, feel free to visit the landing page. Profinet switches, back to the devices now on that slide. Profinet switches are provided in 4, 8, and 16 ports. We have conformance class B, we have neighborhood detection, we have prioritization of Profinet telegrams. This is all real Profinet. You can use it. It appears like a Siemens device in your TIA portal. These devices have a slightly higher temperature range. They provide from -40 to 75 degrees, and also like the unmanaged for sure, they are similar as compact as the unmanaged are, and also made in Germany. And also, last but not least, for sure, you can buy them out of stock in Germany. Another compact size product is our NAT firewall. The NAT firewall brings NAT features, which means network address translation. NAT is just an abbreviation, but you find it everywhere in networking. And it also comes with some firewall features. All the settings can be done also inside this little tiny guy in a web interface. So it's very easy to handle. All the firewall settings, all the NAT settings, everything can be done in the web interface. Temperature range similar to the managed switches, -40 to 75 degrees. Even that product is stock-based. You can buy from one piece. On the next slides, I can show you some use cases. For first, we see here some for example, if you have a need to install multiple serial machines, as the name says, they are all equipped with the same network range. Because it's a serial machine, every machine is built up as the one before. So disadvantage now, I want to attach them at my customer's site, company network, which is differently. It's a 1010 network, not a 192.168. This won't work directly. Even you could not communicate directly from one machine to another. So what's to use? Only our little tiny NAT firewall, and there you go. You can attach it without resetting all the IP addresses. Another one is, or just explain the NAT feature. We have one port providing layer 3. This is going to the external network, and 3 layer 2, where I can attach all the network devices inside the machine. And then I need to get from customers IT department some free IPs, and then I can create this kind of relation table. This will be done inside the web interface, so very easy. Even I could do it. One challenge is left sometimes customers IT is not very willing to spend a lot of IPs. So what to do then? Yeah, at least they have to give us for one machine one IP address, and then we can use the feature port forwarding. Port forwarding, how does it work? You see here we get for this machine the external IP just one, the 10.10.11. That's it. So every redirection starts with 10.10.11 and then mentioned the port. Here at first we have the port 80, which is HTTP port. Means the 192.168.10.1 port 80 opens me on that PLC the web interface. And I'm in the game again. So we can live with one IP address from the company network. Yeah, this brings me already to our latest expansion of our portfolio. We have additional in a standard shape, so from a deeper size. We have an unmanaged 16-port switch, which comes with similar features like our 5 and 8-port switches do. So redundant power input, of course, and also the broadcast storm protection, just providing you 16 instead of just 8 ports. Besides of that, in the middle, the picture, you see our PoE switch, providing 4 PoE, so to say, plus ports and 1 data port. You see beneath of the 4 ports, it's somehow separated. The data ports, here you go in with the data, and on top the 4 ports, you can attach your PoE webcam, for example. All ports provide 100 megabit. And as we see here, a higher temperature range compared to our unmanaged range. Usually they go from -10 to 60. PoE switch goes from -40 to 75. Why? Reason is quite simple. PoE devices are not always very close to the big cabinet where I can where I have some the so-called comfort zone. So therefore I need some higher temperature ranges. Last but not least, in the unmanaged portfolio, we also added the gigabit switch. The gigabit switch on the right side, you see, provides you 8 RJ45 ports. All 8 ports provide you with up to 1 gigabit data transfer rate. What else to mention? Yeah, the gigabit switch is also providing you with jumbo frame. So you can use it with jumbo, with no other way around. You can use it with devices which are using jumbo frames. So it's capable to transmit the jumbo frames also. All are providing redundant power input. What else? Anything forgot? Yeah, they are also stock-based. And last but not least, also some managed switches in addition to our existing portfolio. These 2 switches come with the special of SFP slots. So you can use them for fiber connectivity. Why 2 of them? The one is providing fiber connectivity up to 100 megabit, and the other one fiber connectivity up to 1 gigabit. Both come also with the -40 to 75 redundant power inputs, all the ring redundancy, etc. what they are similar from the software inside, like the managed switches we have seen before in the standard shape. Also, the web interface looks very similar. Also, those products can be ordered also from and bought from stock. And I suppose that has been the last slide, and now you can